think we're going to get started. So today we are going to talk about the mechanics of a listing appointment. Now, tomorrow we're actually going to do a listing. We're going to go over the CMA and how you present it to your seller, as well as on Friday, we're going to go over the listing documents. So we're just doing this intensive thing this week, hopefully to help you when you get an appointment, you're going to get a listing, okay? So first, what I want you to do, once you make your listing appointment, is make sure you are dressed for success. There are many people, you would be surprised, that show up to business meetings and they don't look the part. You are a professional, and that's why they're hiring you, and that's the way you need to dress, okay? So that's first and foremost. I want you to make sure that you get to the listing a little bit early. And the reason I'm saying that is, first of all, you need to find a parking spot, and I don't want you to be all harried and rushed. And then what I usually do is I sit in my car and I visualize me getting the listing. They are going to sign the listing. I get my mind right. I get positive. If I need to go over any of my notes about the home, I do that. And generally, I just get myself in a good spot, a good place, and get ready and psych myself up, because I am getting this listing, and that's what I want everyone to think. You're getting this listing. So what I do, and I am a big proponent of this, is when people come to my home, I hate when somebody arrives early, okay? So you certainly don't want to be late, but I ring the bell at the exact time that we made our appointment. So, somebody could have ran to the bathroom, or, was in the shower, and, it's a pain in the neck if somebody arrives early. So I know you want to look efficient, but arriving right on time, that is really what you should do, okay? When they answer the door, I want you to first smile. Now, I know it's not a big deal, but it just sets the stage for you to, be friendly, be nice, and the smile goes a long way. When you are entering the house, I want you also politely ask, would you like me to remove my shoes? At this point, while you're dressing for success before your appointment, make sure you don't have any holes in your socks, and have socks on. It's much easier. Just in case, I always leave booties in my purse. So if it's a day I don't have on socks, I definitely put on my booties. Okay, so yeah, one time I went for a listing appointment in a co-op, and the woman, she said, "Oh, would you remove your shoes?" And I looked around the co-op, and there were wee-wee pads for her dog everywhere. And I actually didn't even enter the house. I didn't take the listing. Didn't want it. But anyway, you have to be prepared for anything like that to happen. So just to let you know. Then one of the first things I do is I thank them for having me in their home. And I sort of find a little compliment, like, oh, I love your landscaping, or that tree is blooming beautifully out front. I just try to make it light, but I want you to be sincere, okay? Let's see. And then you're just going to sort of explain the process of what you're going to do. I'd like to put my stuff down, and perhaps you could give me a tour of your home. Fair enough? You want to try to get them to say yes as much as possible as you are touring the home and as you are talking to them. Once they say, yeah, where you could put your stuff down, ideally it should be the kitchen table. As we know, sometimes you have to pivot because people have certain things that, certain places they like to do business, or there's crap all over their kitchen table. One time I was on a listing appointment, and no matter what I said or did, the person wanted me to sit on the couch. So it was extremely uncomfortable, going through listing paperwork, but you do what you have to do, right? I'll sign in on anything. So let's see. Oh, okay. So if you go to the kitchen table, this is very important. I want you to ask them where you should sit. Now, you want to sit where both of your sellers or whatever are directly in front of you. You don't want one on one side and one on the other. If it happens that way, it happens, but ideally you would like them to be face to face. But the reason I want you to ask which seat is good is because I know growing up in my house, if somebody sat in my father's chair, he wouldn't say anything, but he would not give them the listing because that was his chair, his house. So just to give you a little clue. So you're going to put your things down, and then you're going to have your pad with you, and you're going to start with the tour of your home. Now, if you did your pre-listing phone call correctly, you would have had answers to a lot of questions as far as, is your home renovated? How many bedrooms? All of the questions that you need to ask. What kind of flooring? But if you didn't, you're going to be now with your pad writing down everything that you see. So you're going to notice what kind of floors, you're going to notice what kind of air conditioners, how many air conditioners, windows, are they new? Tell me about the roof. Does it have a full basement? Is the basement finished? Does it have a private driveway? Is there a garage? What are the kitchen cabinets made out of? What are the countertops made out of? Does it have wood floors? How many stories? Just things about the house. Now, we need to do a lot of things at once, simultaneously, as we are noticing things about the house. We also are trying to build rapport. So I want you to see, you could look at pictures and you could see maybe somebody was on a ski slope and you could ask if they, oh, I see you like to ski, or maybe there are golf clubs in the garage, do you play golf, really? And you just can start talking, where are you moving to? Why? Oh, you're moving to North Carolina. Oh, do you have family there? Did you find a house already? Maybe there's a referral in there for you for North Carolina, never know. One deal could lead to two. What I also want you to make sure you do is ask if there's any exclusions, because I will tell you deals have fallen apart because they did not put, like, say, a chandelier exclusion on the listing, and come time for the walkthrough and the buyer says, wait, where's the chandelier that I bought this house with, that I put an offer? And the seller says, oh no, that's mine. And they put up some little Home Depot light, and people fight about that. And that could happen. And it's really not a good thing. So better off to know in the beginning what's excluded. Make sure it's on the listing when you input it into the MLS. Okay. Also, what I don't want you to do, and I made this mistake when I first started, I don't want you to gush about the house. Oh my goodness, my first listing appointment, everything was beautiful. And just because I was so happy that I had this listing appointment, and when the time came to discuss price, which I never give my price first, but the seller, what their house was worth, $500,000 more than really it was worth. And was like, when I gave them my price range, they questioned, they said, well, you thought our house was so beautiful. Why isn't it worth this much? So, you're complimentary, but not overly. Okay. I know you're so happy that you're there, but yeah, you got to try to maintain that. Hold on. So where are we? Oh yeah, so animals. This is an important one. So say you hate dogs and their dog is jumping on you, and you're like, get this stupid dog out of here. Don't say anything, don't yell, don't push the dog, just gently try to be polite. It's sometimes difficult. I happen to have a fear of cats, and I was at a listing appointment, and here comes their cat, jumped up on the table and just laid right across my listing paperwork. And I just sort of made a joke and said, she likes me so much, she wants to sign the paperwork. And yeah, we had a really great relationship after that. And I actually sort of like cats now. Okay, so tomorrow, as I said, we're going to go over the actual listing, CMA with your seller. But I want to tell you, once your seller signs the paperwork, don't linger. It's time to leave. So just take your things and go. You got what you came for, and you're polite, and you leave. So does anyone have any questions, comments? Anything they could add? Tara? Oh, you're muted. No questions? Somebody's got to have a question.
The listing paperwork. Hi, Jennifer, by the way.
Hi, Chris.
The listing paperwork, we can get all those copies and stuff inside the office, correct?
That is correct. Or you could also get it on MLS online.
Okay.
Yes, and you could print out the forms. And on Friday at 4 o'clock, we're going to go over the listing paperwork.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Also, you know, included in the listing paperwork, you should have your seller's instructions written down. And I could show you the form that I use. I just created my own because that's very important also. So that's also a part of what you're going to talk about when you're doing your listing. So, yeah. Who else? Everyone meet Emanuela. She's probably going to join us. I'm sorry, Mila.
I have a question.
Yes.
So has this ever happened to you, or if it did, or if it didn't, how would you go about it? Like if you're at the listing presentations and things are just not going well, like the seller doesn't like you or you don't like them, or if there's just a weird tension or, you know, something like that, how would you go about it?
Okay, I have never had that happen to me, to be honest, because I basically, you know, part of our job is we read people a little bit, and you sort of can tell if somebody, you know, is really to the point, or someone else who likes to talk. So I really never have had that, but if it was tense, I mean, part of me feels like, why would I even want that listing? Because it may be a problem down the line. But then there are other times where people, you know, it's not always a happy reason why they have to sell their house. So sometimes I'm trying to uncover their motivation and helping them through that. That really is important. And, you know, usually then you'll have a client for life because you really took the extra time to understand their situation. They could be in trouble financially, and, you know, could be going through a divorce. So it's not easy at all times. So I really think trying to just talk it through, you know, and you have to be a leader. You have to lead them to where you want them to go. And I mean that in the conversation. You know, you're going to walk them through the steps. You know, we're going to put my stuff down. We're going to walk through the house. Another important thing that I did not mention was you need to notice if there's any problems. And usually you'd like to have a problem or two, because then you become the problem solver and the expert consultant. But if you see, say, a water stain on the ceiling, it's a good time to ask, oh, is that an active leak? If it is, you would recommend, you know, I have somebody to, if you'd like me to recommend a couple of roofers, I'd be happy to, because I think it's best if we get that leak repaired before we try to have people see the house. It could cost you a lot of money in an offer. Or it could be the difference between an offer and somebody who's like afraid because they don't want water damage. If it is not an active leak, then I always recommend that they get it painted, because even though the leak is fixed, it still looks like a leak, and that will scare people away too. Also in the basement, I try to notice, is there water on the floor? What kind of a boiler is there? The hot water heater. And you're also asking, do you know how old your roof is? How many layers are on your roof? So most roofs, they could have 3 layers, and then after the third, they have to replace the whole roof. So you really want to try to pinpoint, these things. Oh, how old are your washer and dryer? Oh, they're new. Great. These are all positives for a listing appointment. And if they don't know, they don't know. So if they don't know how old the roof is, you could just, when somebody asks you, you could say, the homeowner did not know, but I will tell you there are no leaks. So that works too. And also sometimes oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, I just, I'm a new agent, new to the real estate, and I am actually looking for a property myself, me and my fiance, and I go out on open houses and stuff like that, and I get asked the question a lot, are you working with an agent, or are you an agent? And I would say yes, I am. I just signed up with Keller Williams, and they ask for the pocket card. They ask for the COVID-19 forms and stuff like that. Where would I get that stuff from? From the office?
Yes, from the office. And you
Okay.
could just, if you want, you could just scan it through, and then when you're making an appointment, you just send it to the listing agent. Just easy.
Yeah, that's the stuff I need to figure out, because I get asked that question a lot. I just stopped saying that I'm an agent because I feel like I'm unprofessional.
Oh, okay. No, well, when you come into the office, anybody, if they want me to show them, I will definitely show you what you will need when you're looking at a house, if you want to do that.
Thank you. I definitely set up a time to come in.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I could scan them to you too. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. Okay. Who else? Questions, comments? Does anybody have something funny or mortifying that happened to them when they were on a listing? Conversely, you could have a seller, Mila and I just had this, who talks a lot. And that's also sometimes a problem, because you have to keep the person focused. That they're talking about their cat, their dog, and it's nice to get to know them a little bit and stuff, but sometimes it's a little difficult because they lose their focus. So, your main goal is to list this house. So you need to make sure you keep putting the pen back in their hand and asking them to sign in a nice way.
Remind me again how to navigate new business, like new listings, given the COVID-19.
Say that one more time, Chris.
How do we navigate getting the new listings for people that we, like farming?
Okay. So firstly, I hope everyone has done their sphere of influence, their list of every single person that they know in the world. Any doctor, friend of a friend, in-laws, old people you go to school with, and their contact info, because that's going to be your first line of defense. That's going to be the first thing you do. You're going to be calling everyone, happy holiday, how are you? It's really exciting. I have something new going on. I'm a real estate agent now, and I work with Keller Williams. And you just talk to them, and you're going to start working your sphere of influence, and they are going to start referring you, and you're going to start making money that way. As far as the for sale by owners, so apparently you can contact them, but you just cannot ask for their listing. So you may say, I have a buyer interested in your house. when could I see it? And you could go talk to them, find out what their motivation is to sell their house by themselves. But you just got to really be careful not to ask them for their listing. If they give it to you, great, but we are still in a state of emergency. For an expired, even for sale by owner, you could also give them some market information, and that you can find in our MLS Stratus. It's a free market report generator, and I could also show you how to do that. But that's interesting for them. Like, hey, look, here are some comps. Ariel, tell us what you did for your FSBO how you got your listing, your first listing. I love this story.
Oh yeah. So I went to a FSBO in New Hyde Park. He had many different reasons. He had many reasons why he shouldn't list. There weren't really sane reasons, but at the end of the day, like, I knew, like, I wasn't getting the listing then and there. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you a list of like 10 different places you can sell it on your own, and I'll lend you a couple of open house signs. A week later, he calls me saying, can you list my home? He can't do it himself.
Wow. That's fantastic. And that was a great idea. You brought value. You came from a place of giving, and you all know as well as I do that FSBO and an expired, the only people calling them are other agents. So eventually they're going to get fed up with answering the phone.
Yep.
Chris, were you going to say something else?
No, I was just saying that.
Anybody else have another any other idea? Question? So everybody knows the next appointment, they're getting the listing. Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a question.
Yes.
Could you just kind of briefly go over your mindset when you are walking into, and then for listing presentation, and then could you also explain where a new agent's mindset should be as well too when they're kind of walking into this listing?
Okay. First of all, as a new agent, I will tell you, you should definitely be going on your listing appointment with an experienced agent. And I'll tell you why, because you want to make sure you get the listing. And also watching somebody else do it in person is very, very helpful. And I think maybe we should role play that one day, because it's not easy. There are a lot of moving parts. And when you're new, sometimes you might forget something. So I highly recommend, if you don't use Marco, then take somebody who you know in the office, who you like and trust and think they're a good realtor. And if you need to have a name, I'll be more than happy to pair you up with somebody. So for me, like I said, I make sure I am prepared, because when you're prepared and you know your CMA, you know your market, you know the comps, that gives you confidence. So you know what you're talking about. You are the professional. You have been trained, and you need to remember that. So if you have to go over your CMA a few times, you should study it. You should know. I also make a copy of the CMA for myself, because I like to go through the CMA. I go through the entire thing, page by page, with the pictures. I let them see everything. Some people don't do that. But this is my style, and you should listen to a few people's style, because everybody has their own way of doing things. So for me, being prepared, not being rushed, making sure I look professional, and now I just visualize. I'm going to go in there and I visualize them actually signing the paperwork, and I have confidence. And you know what? Maybe you're not going to get every single listing, and that's okay, because you're going to learn something every single time. But for me, if I'm going on that appointment, I'm getting that listing, and that's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And that's just the way I think. And for you as a new agent, that's the way you should think too. Look, you know, I worked at this. I've gone to school. I've trained for this. And I think, you know, you will get the listing. Why wouldn't they give it to you? You've already gotten in the door. You're already more than halfway to getting the listing because you are in the house. So there's a funny story I heard. This guy was telling me that he went on a listing and his homeowner said, you know what, I think I'm going to think about it. And, you know, this guy was pretty nervy and he went and sat on the couch and said, okay, I'll wait until you finish thinking. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he was really funny and he had the personality to get away with it. I don't suggest you doing that. But if somebody did say, I want to think about it, you definitely have to delve into the reason what the objection is. There is something either you're not explaining fully, or there's something that they're not liking about you or your listing appointment or your listing papers, so, or your CMA. So you definitely need to start delving into questions to ask, like, you know, well, what is it you have to think about? Is it the price? Is it the marketing? There's only two reasons why a home doesn't sell. It's either priced wrong or it's not marketed correctly. And we're going to go through all of that with our CMA, with the marketing and stuff, and how you're going to explain it. Also, you should strive to be an agent that what you say, you do. If you're going to promise to have a professional photographer, you better have one. So that you only have one reputation, and you want to make sure that yours is pristine. And if you don't want to use a professional photographer, then just don't say it. You know, that's up to you. But
The professional photographer, is that something that's out of pocket for the agent?
that is out of pocket, and then you could write it off on your taxes.
Okay.
And in my opinion, it makes all the difference in the world. I like that. So that's just the way I do business. I mean, not for a rental, but for a sale, I think it's important. Oh, so this funny agent, I'll tell you another story what he did. This wasn't time of COVID, but he rang a FSBO's bell, and they answered the door, and then they slammed the door in his face, and he went around to the back door and he knocked on the back door. And the guy, the seller, thankfully thought he was so funny, and they ended up listing with him. But yeah, he was a bit of a character. Or if somebody would hang up on him when he was making his calls, he would call back and say, oh, we got disconnected. He was fearless, which was pretty amusing. Who else? What other thing do you want to know about when you're in a house? I know somebody has to have a question. You know, you have to be prepared. They may have children crying, or I was at one listing where the husband and wife started fighting, and it was a little uncomfortable, but, you know, I, of course, didn't show it. You know, the wife was crying. I said, oh, this happens all the time. You know, it's, what are you going to do? You know, and they listed with me. Pretty funny. All right, well, it's 4:33. I hope you got a little something out of this little class we had today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. I would like, if you want, take an address and do a CMA on it. And then I will eventually get to look at all of your CMAs, and we can compare and see how you could get better. And that really is how you're going to get better at doing a CMA. You have to do them. And I mean, with everything, the marketing, your comps, and then we're going to talk about, I'll talk about how I do a CMA, and then you're going to start developing your own style of doing them. And we're all going to get lots of listings, and we're going to win the contest. So